Hi, everybody. It is Marty and Keena here from Lisa's Care Connection, and we are excited to join you today. It is Wednesday, and tomorrow is going to be some happy eating day. So,
Right.
is Riley joining you today, Keena?
Riley is joining us for this interview, Marty. We are so happy to be here.
Well, fantastic. Well, we are from obviously Lisa's Care Connection. We've got some good information for you guys today. Keena is going to share with us about our five senses. And what a better time to do it than right here at the holidays when your senses are just in overload. So I want to go ahead and get started. Let me make sure that I'm all set here. All right, good. So I can look at if we have some questions as well. Hi, Ben. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad you're here. So Keena, tell us a little bit about what you're going to tell us and teach us today.
Okay, so, we don't always think about using our five senses to engage our memories or our emotions. But like you said, we can be in overload a lot of times with with all of our senses, but we can use our senses as a tool to connect to happy times and places in our life, maybe reduce stress, bring down blood pressure. We can also use it as a tool as a caregiver, when we're caring for someone, especially with dementia, to engage their memories and to maybe reduce their stress and anxiety levels as well, and to tap into those good positive emotions. And we don't always think of these things.
So what do you mean? I mean, what does it really mean to tune in? I don't understand that.
Well, before we talk about tuning in, this will help you better understand it. So we're going to do a few quick exercises. Now, these are words that I'm going to show you, and I want you to think about what comes to your mind, what senses. So we're talking about sight, sound, taste, and smell, right? All those that you're familiar with. But we all are stimulated by different memories and smells and taste. So what brings me joy may not do the same for you. So we're going to use this exercise to get you thinking about what stimulates you. Okay. So I'm going to hold up.
You know, I like a game now, Keena.
Well, it's kind of a game, yeah. So, but you are going to answer these for me, or you're going to help me go through these. So the word I'm holding up is holidays. Okay. So when you think of holidays, what are some smells that come to your mind?
I think of like the evergreen smell, and I think of apple pie.
Yes, I know. I think of citrus and cinnamon. I love foods with cinnamon, which brings us to taste.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what you guys smell and think about too. So go ahead and type in your chat some of your answers as well. All right, so what was the next question, Keena?
Taste.
Taste.
Which is a lot of times you're going to notice that your taste and your smell kind of go hand in hand. Okay. So I noticed for a lot of my lists, I had a lot of the same things for smell and taste.
Okay.
So you know, in the holidays.
Taste for me, I would probably have to say turkey and candy.
Yeah, candy yam, any type of comfort food, right? I think for the holidays, that's probably on most people's list. So whatever you grew up eating, you know, in your family, that's probably what comes to mind first, right? But if you were going to think of some sounds that make you think of the holidays, what might some sounds be?
Definitely jingle bells and Christmas carols.
Yes, music is a big one. Music is something we talk about a lot at Lisa's Care Connection, because music has an amazing ability to reach the deepest part of your souls. It connects you to memories. Sometimes you can hear a song and you knew just where you were when you first heard that song, right? That's how powerful it can be. And especially when caring for someone with dementia, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, so I think of even kids playing, you know, when you have family gatherings, you might hear the voices and the sounds. You might hear, I know my family loved to watch sports. There's always sports going on Christmas Day, I know. So we always had that on the TV. Christmas carols, of course, is a big one. What about touch? What do you think are some things that could make you think about the holidays with touch?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is like a cozy blanket, like a soft, cozy blanket.
Yes.
Yeah.
So cold, you think of wintertime, right? It's cold. So what things are going to stimulate touch? You feel the cold for one. So you might wear comfortable clothes. You might wrap up in a warm scarf or blanket. Hugs, human touch. Let's don't forget human touch. That's usually when we have family around. We may be hugging each other. Maybe not so many hugs now, but those certainly evoke warm memories and happy memories to me, right?
Yes.
So lastly would be our sight. What kinds of things do you see in your head when you think of the holidays?
I think of like Christmas decorations, like red and green, and just lots of people, like a hustle and bustle is kind of what I think.
Yeah. So a decorated tree, that's probably my most favorite thing about the holidays. So I always think of that. Fall colors, right? We've got leaves falling now, changing colors. That's really pretty. We used to ride around and look at the trees this time of the year. Snow, depending on what part of the country you're from, not South Carolina, of course, but some people it's snow. So those are some things that you can go into and tap into over this holiday season, even though you may not be connected in the same ways as years past. You can still tap into these fond memories and stimulate your senses to create those warm and fuzzy feelings.
So
okay,
let me ask you, what's the most powerful sense? Is there one that's stronger than the others?
Yes. So I'm going to ask you to take a guess. What would you think is the most powerful sense in terms of being connected to memories and emotion?
I would probably say sight.
That's actually, what most people say is sight, because,
not correct. I see.
That would be wrong, Marty. I'm sorry. Very close, though. It is not sight. It is actually smell. Sandy's right. She got it. Yeah. So your sense of smell is by far the strongest sense. And, if you think about taste and smell, your nose and your mouth, very close, right? And what happens when the brain is processing senses, those senses go to different parts of your brain. And so your receptors for your smell and your taste, they're really close to your amygdala, which is your emotional part of the brain, which I always forget. But so you've got the amygdala tied to your emotion, and then you've got your hippocampus is tied to your memories. So for people that are familiar with dementia, those words might be a little familiar to you, but basically that means that before your brain has processed that smell, before it has determined what the smell is, it has probably already created a memory and an emotional connection to that smell before you've ever really smelled it, which is pretty cool, right?
So it goes to the memories first before it even processes the smell,
before it gets to that part of your brain that processes it, it passes through your memory and your emotional part of your brain.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
So that's why it's tied to such memories, right?
Yes, and that's why taste is very close to that, and touch comes in at a close third for being the most strongest. So that means things you can touch and feel, and the tactile sensation of things is also pretty strong.
Let me understand. So basically, what we need to do is, when you talk about tuning in, it's figuring out what makes us, what connects us, right? As far as what makes us feel good, like I love a warm blanket, or a fuzzy, soft blanket. So So I need to make sure that when I'm maybe frustrated or when I'm, having a rough day, that I wrap up in my blanket, like almost make a list of things that I know make me happy. So it's creating this awareness of all my different senses. Is that what you mean?
Sure. So when we think of tuning into the senses, we think of being mindful. And people wonder, what is this mindfulness that you hear about these days? Because mindfulness, there's a lot of research that shows being mindful helps us reduce stress and relieve depression. So being mindful can be a really helpful tool for caregivers and anyone dealing with stress. I mean, we all experience stress. So what does that mean to be mindful of our senses? Well, just think about going through every day, taking time to be in the present moment. So for instance, a lot of times you may think, oh, it's so quiet. Is it? Is it really quiet? Take a moment to think about, what do I hear? Are there birds? Are there people talking? If you're outside, what colors are you drawn to? What smells are in the air? All of these things can help you take your mind off of whatever's stressing you out, right? Our minds are running nonstop. So this just helps you take a moment to tune in to the here and now. And once you get into a habit of doing that, it will become more natural. You won't need to make lists or anything like that. You'll know how to use these things in different ways, say in your home, or to get a good night's rest, which we can certainly talk a little bit about now. So let's do that.
Well, and I love a list. So I'm not very good at being mindful and stopping and smelling the roses, right? I'm just not very good at that. And so I have to be real specific with myself. And I think as I've gotten older, I've realized I really love fresh flowers. They make me happy, right? And so I have
why do they make you happy?
I don't know.
What do you like about them?
Well, I like to look at them. I like to, they don't always necessarily smell, but some do smell. I don't know. I just really like them. So I don't really know what scent that necessarily is, except for sight. But so I have done more of that in my home than ever in my life. So it is, for me, it's just figuring out those things that make me happy and being more, actually doing them. So whether that's even just like looking at the leaves, if you love looking at,
you're more mindful of it. You can. It's okay to use the word mindful.
Okay.
You don't.
Mindful,
but you're being mindful. You recognize it, you're aware of it, and you're trying to embrace that and capitalize on it, which is a good thing. If you think about touch, for instance, the skin is our largest organ in our body, so it's very sensitive to external stimuli, and water is one of the easiest ways to actually find relief or change up your attitude, or wherever you at. If you need a little quick change, try running your hands under some cold water, for instance, and that can really reset your senses. Taking a warm bath, that can really calm us, right? That can be really comforting. So, water, if you think of it as being rejuvenating, you could go for a swim and that could rejuvenate you. But water really has a unique way to affect us. And feeling warmth on your skin, the sunshine, you feel that's stimulating your sense of touch. And that's something that you can get every day that's at your fingertips. Like you said, wearing those comfortable clothes. When I'm sad, I love to wear my mom's old cheerleading jersey. That's my go-to, and wearing it makes me feel happy. So that's my trigger, and that's something that works for me. And your blanket or your fuzzy slippers that you like works for you. So you just have to do it. Be mindful, recognize it, be aware of it, and then find ways to incorporate that into your everyday life. Pets, touching. Pets are, there's so much research on how just simply touching a dog will reduce your anxiety and bring down your blood pressure. And same as someone with dementia. So we give out stuffed animals here at the center, and that's why, because that engages their senses and their sense of touch in particular. But when we think of taste, we go back to those comfort foods. Now, we don't want to eat a lot of those comfort foods on a daily basis to boost our mood, that's for sure. So think of other ways that you can do that. Herbs are a great way to do that. You can add herbs to healthy foods. You can cook with it, and it stimulates both your taste and your smell. You can try some flavored warm teas or cold tea, but flavored tea is really great. For smells, a great way to incorporate smells into your everyday life would be aromatherapy. That's prescribed a lot for people that have depression. So nowadays you see the essential oils everywhere. Marty and I both have been using some essential oils. Tell me, what's your favorite essential oil that you use on a work day?
During the work day, I have a couple that are like motivation, or there's a couple like a citrusy smell is just.
You know what citrus would do?
No.
That actually gives you some energy. It might give you an energy boost. So if you're looking for, a boost of energy, try some citrus. But if you are maybe not sleeping well and you want to try to get a better night's sleep, try something like lavender, which is really popular for helping you sleep. But you could spritz some on your pillow, or have a lavender candle beside you, or even on your sheets or under your pillow. So ways to incorporate that at the end of your day to help you prepare for a good night's sleep can sort of trick your brain and get you into that right mindset.
Fantastic. Well, you talked a little bit about managing stress and boosting our mood. Lastly, I think you wanted to share with us a little bit how to help other people and our loved ones reach their memories and emotions. I think you're going to share a little bit on that.
Yes. So when we think about caring for someone that we love, especially if they have dementia or Alzheimer's, it's easy to forget that there are ways to connect with them through their senses. Sometimes we give up on connecting with them, but you can actually engage them in ways that maybe you're not thinking about. So you can try to incorporate things like we're talking about that are important to them. So first of all, you've got to figure out what their triggers are for positive emotions and memories, right? Maybe they have sundowners every evening, and you're trying to figure out some ways to help calm them down or to feel more comfortable during that time. You might try to think about the senses for that. So for instance, on a general everyday basis, engaging with your loved one, you could try to touch them gently. Touch is huge. When was the last time you rubbed their hand? Just a nice pat on the arm or rub on the leg, a pat on the shoulder, a nice gentle massage. They feel that. That's energy that's going through their body. So don't neglect touching them. For sight, put out some pictures in your home, some old familiar pictures that they are familiar with and that would jog their memory, things from their past. You don't want to put current pictures because they're likely not going to recognize the people in those pictures. So you want to make sure they're things that jog their memories from their past. Playing music that brings them joy. Music is so huge. Whereas most of us, sound's actually not one of those top senses, right? But for someone with dementia, that may very well be, especially in the later stages, the only part of their brain that's preserved. Because when you hear music, you've got lots of different parts of your brain lighting up, so to speak. So you want to use music as much as you can. And when you play music for someone with dementia, you want it to be something they like. So think back to when they were between the ages of 15 and 25. What were the popular songs? What kind of music did they like to listen to? And go to those songs. That's what's going to engage them and bring them to their happy place. So just having it on during those anxious times or just throughout the day, not overstimulating them, not too many senses at once, but try those little things, because it can be easy to overstimulate them. And Marty, you've seen here at Lisa's Care Connection, we have activity, what are they called? Activity boards. They're boards that have things like latches and locks and screws. Mm-hmm. It's things that, say, a man might like to touch or play with. Say he used to be a handyman. He might like to feel the latches and fiddle with them, right? We might like to fidget, need something to do with our hands. If it's a woman, maybe she would like to hold a blanket. We have blankets and what we call fiddle mitts that have buttons sewn in them. They have little trinkets that are sewn tight because they'll pull them off and eat them. So make sure you get those tied pretty tight. But basically they're playing with it with their hands. It's tactile. It's something for them to feel, something for them to do. And it does kind of jog their memory at the same time. Mm-hmm. So those are some easy everyday ways that we can incorporate that. But before I wrap up, I did want to give you an idea of how to make memory boxes for your loved one. So these might be a box that you have with items that bring them joy or stimulate their memories and emotions. So maybe they're a sports guy. What kinds of things might you put in a box that would be sports related for a man or female? Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I would say, any kind of ball, whatever kind of sports they like. Okay. Maybe some old newspapers or maybe gloves, if it's football gloves or I don't know. What else would you put
that's perfect. So you want to think about smells. Think about foods for one. You might not want to put food in a box, but popcorn, you smell those things when you go to a game, right? Hot dogs. But the old leather glove, that would definitely engage the sense of smell because they just have that old smell, right? You put an old leather glove in your face and you know what it is. And that glove is also something that is a familiar feel to them. They probably like to have it. If they used to play baseball, he's probably going to like the way that glove feels on his hand. He's never going to forget the way that feels. And the way that ball feels in his hand with the threads on the balls. The sounds, think about what you hear at a baseball game. You might hear "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," right? You might see uniforms and see the grass on the field. You might play a game on TV. So you can fill boxes with memorabilia that will kind of jog their memory, have an old game playing on the TV. There are lots of ways that you can get creative to re-engage those senses. Especially now with Netflix, and there's so many things on TV that would help them do that. But for you to have a conversation, tell me about when you used to play. Weren't you a catcher? What was that like?
But I like the idea of creating the box, thinking about all the different five senses. I like that because then you can kind of go through each one and figure out what you can put in the box, or even make a little note saying, play this on the TV, or, go grab some, grass from outside, or, I really like that idea.
Yeah, it can be really handy when you're trying to calm someone down, especially, or out of sheer boredom, that. And once you start jogging their memories, who knows? Who knows what they'll remember? It could very easily become a good day. And
put like an old pinky shoe in there or something. That'll just bring them right back. So.
That's right. Put their old sneaker in there. And one thing I thought about for the baseball game is we used to eat like Curie Vienna sausages when we were little, and I thought, Lisa would die if she heard me mention Vienna sausage. But a lot of things we did when we were young had that, and I was thinking, we probably wouldn't think to do that for our grandparents or our parents, but you have to get into their shoes and think back what it was like when they did it, because that's probably very different than today. So that's the most important piece. What triggers them or what triggers you?
Great. That's awesome. Do you have one more box for us or?
Yeah. All right. What's a good one? So let's do, this is one for you.
Okay, gardening. So if I was making a gardening box, I would put in maybe some pressed flowers, some pictures of flowers, maybe different smells, like maybe candles that smell like flowers.
And you know, there are essential oils for everything. So you
Right.
can probably find actual oils or things like that that you can maybe drip in there. And so the box itself naturally could smell that way, or soaps, perfumes, favorite
Right.
perfumes that they may have would be great.
Birds, like not real birds.
Right. Yeah. You know, and depending on what kind of gardening that they used to do, you know, fresh produce is something that you might not necessarily put it in a box, but the smell of a fresh tomato or something that's really fresh and hasn't been cooked. Like I know the smell of a stem, you know, or think about beans. When I was young, my grandmother, you know, was a big gardener, and I can remember sitting outside and shelling beans and sorting beans for hours. We would do it all day. I mean, that's endless entertainment for someone with dementia that used to do that, to play with those beans, to feel it. Even though you may have arthritis, maybe you can't snap them, you can sort them and touch them and feel them. They even have a smell to them. They smell like dirt. That's what I always thought, you know, because it came from the dirt, right? So yeah, you can put fake flowers in your box. You can let them make an arrangement, because you said, I like to see them, right? I like to see my flowers. Well, you can help make an arrangement with them. Use the same fake flowers every time you make your arrangement. You know, it doesn't have to be expensive, but it gives you an activity to do together, and gives them something to enjoy.
I love it. Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. Thank you, Kina. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap this up?
I think that's about it. Just, you know, remember to take your time and smell the roses, literally. And when you find yourself getting stressed out, or maybe you've got too much on your plate during the holidays, just remember to take a few minutes to just get centered and think about what's going on around you. And you'll just notice those things start to fall out of your brain. All that stress will just fall away.
Tap into those senses that you know make you happy.
Yep.
And I'm going to really work on figuring out several more of mine that I can that can be some go-tos for me as well.
And singing is just as good as listening to music. So don't be afraid to belt it out in the car or in the shower. There's science to prove it. So we give you permission.
Nice. Well, we've enjoyed being here with you guys today. Happy Thanksgiving. We miss you and we love you, and we hope that this was invaluable information to you. Kina, thank you for bringing this to us, and we'll see you again really soon.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
Have a great Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Bye.